Hello everyone. Today I am going to start new topic from your syllabus, that is from Medicinal Chemistry 2, and topic is diuretics. In today's lecture I am going to discuss about introduction to diuretics, urine formation and classification of diuretics. Diuretics, these are the drugs that promote the excretion of urine by kidneys. Diuretics cause the increase in excretion of urine by kidneys. So, how they increase the excretion of urine? They increase the excretion of water and ions like sodium, chloride or bicarbonate ions into the urine. And that's why they increase the volume of the urine as well as increase the flow of urine. Diuretics make the urine in content more by increase in excretion of water and sodium or other ions. They make the water and sodium to excrete out into the urine and increases the volume of urine. That's why also increase in flow of urine. They help to decrease body fluids, especially extracellular fluid. Right? These drugs or diuretics cause the decrease in body fluid and especially in extracellular fluids, and that's why diuretics are used in management of heart failure, edema as well as hypertension. Right? In hypertension, generally diuretics are given with other antihypertensive agent. In hypertension, they help to decrease blood pressure by decreasing the blood volume. Right? Because the drug causes the excretion of the water and sodium. That's why that will lead to the decrease in extracellular fluid and that will lead to the decrease in blood volume. And decreasing blood volume leads to the decreasing blood pressure. So that's why diuretics can be used in management of hypertension as well as edema and heart failure. This is the basic structure of nephron. Now first of all, what is nephron? It is the functional unit of the kidney. Nephron is functional unit of the kidney where urine is formed. Right? Nephron is important functional unit of kidney where urine is formed. Nephron consists of two anatomical parts, that is glomerulus and tubule. See in structure, main two parts are present in nephron. First one is glomerulus, this one, and second one is this tubule. Right? The glomerular part is closed, see here, is closed, cup shaped, right? It is cup shaped and that is known as the Bowman capsule, this one, right? So glomerulus contain Bowman capsule and this capillary network, right, which is present into the Bowman capsule, right? So glomerulus is the closed part, cup shaped, and it is known as the Bowman's capsule. Then tubule consists of three parts, namely proximal convoluted tubule, see here PCT, that is proximal convoluted tubule. Then loop of Henle, this loop of Henle, and third tubule part is distal convoluted tubule. Right? Three tubules are present: proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and distal convoluted tubule. Loop of Henle again known as the descending loop of Henle, thick descending loop of Henle, and thick ascending loop of Henle. Right? This one is the descending, in which here flow denoted, that is of urine. Right? So this one is the descending, in which urine comes down, and this one is the ascending loop of Henle. Right? So tubules are of three types: proximal convoluted tubule and loop of Henle, as well as distal convoluted tubule. After that, distal convoluted tubule is opened into the collecting duct. Right? That is opened into the collecting duct where final urine is collected. Right? So these all are important part of the nephron which involve into the urine formation. Mainly two parts, glomerulus and tubules. Glomerulus is closed cup-shaped structure that is known as the Bowman capsule, and it contains the capillary network from which blood is filtered. Then second part is tubules, which are proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal, that means nearer to the Bowman capsule, and distal convoluted tubule, that is known as the distal because of that is far from the Bowman capsule, and in between proximal and distal tubule there is a loop of Henle, right? Because it is a loop shape, it forms the loop shape, that's why loop of Henle. And again loop of Henle is divided into two parts, descending loop of Henle and ascending loop of Henle, and at last collecting duct, right? And this arrow shows the blue arrow shows the direction of the urine, right? Here afferent arterioles is given, right? Afferent arterioles, afferent, that means that enter into the Bowman capsule, right? Afferent arterioles contain the blood that is enter into the Bowman capsule, and second is afferent arteriole, that is the blood vessels or artery that carry the blood from the Bowman capsule, right? Afferent arteriole, that is the artery which carry blood into the Bowman capsule, and afferent arteriole, that the arteriole which carry blood from the Bowman capsule, right? In between these, blood is filtered through the glomerulus capsule, right? And this capillary network is adjacent to this nephron tubules, right? This all capillary network is adjacent to these different tubules of the nephron, right? Now urine formation in nephron, right? There are mainly three key steps of the urine formation, right? This is the structure of nephron as we see, right? This one is the afferent arteriole, and this one is the afferent arterioles, afferent and afferent, right? Efferent. So this one is the glomerular capsule, and the second part is different rest of renal tubule, right? Proximal, distal and loop of Henle. See the step of the urine formation. First one is the glomerular filtration. It involves water and solutes smaller than proteins are forced through the capillary walls and pores of the glomerular capsule into the renal tubule, right? Here blood enter into the glomerular capillaries or glomerular capsule, right? And here A step is the filtration. Here A is denoted, that is the filtration. It is known as the glomerular filtration, in which bloods get filtered into the Bowman capsule and enter into the tubules, right? During this filtration, what happens? Water and solutes smaller than proteins are filtered and enter into the glomerular capsule and into the renal tubule, right? It is the first step, glomerular filtration, right? Water and smaller molecules are filtered from the blood into the tubules, right? Here filtration of the blood occur, right? Second step is tubular reabsorption, right? Now see here, after this filtration, filtrate flow into the tubules, right? And here in proximal tubules as well as in loop of Henle, this filtrate flow. During this flow, reabsorption occur, right? Now water, glucose, amino acids and needed ions are transported out of the filtrate into the tubule cells and then enter the capillary blood, right? See here, B step is denoted, this is the reabsorption, right? That means the absorption of the molecule into the blood vessels or blood capillary, right? From renal tubules, some important molecules or essential molecules which are filtered through the glomerular capsule, they are reabsorbed back into the blood capillaries, right, and enter into the bloodstream. For example, water, glucose and amino acids or important ions or essential ions are reabsorbed, right, which are present into the filtrate are reabsorbed into the blood capillary, right. Now third step is tubular secretion, that include proton, that is H plus ion, potassium ion, creatinine and drugs are removed from the peritubular blood and secreted by the tubule cells into the filtrate, right. Now some drugs, molecule creatinine or other ions which should be filtered but they are not filtered and remain into the blood capillary are secreted into the tubules in third step, right. As we discussed that essential molecules or ions which are filtered into the tubules are reabsorbed back into the capillaries, as like that not filtered, that should be filtered but they are not filtered into the glomerular capsule, they are secreted into the tubules, especially in distal tubules, right. For example, drug molecule, creatinine, H plus ion, K plus ion, potassium ion, right, they are secreted by the tubule cells into the filtrate, right, and this urine is collected by here in collecting duct. Final urine are collected into this collecting duct, right. So these are the three important steps in urine formation, and this step and part help to understand the mechanism of action of different diuretics. First one is glomerular filtration, and that occur in the glomerular capsule or Bowman capsule, and in this step water and smaller solute molecule are get filtered, right, and enter into the tubule. Second one is tubular reabsorption, in which essential molecules which get filtered into the glomerular filtration are reabsorbed into the capillaries, right. And the third step is the tubular secretion. In this step, the molecules which are not filtered through Bowman capsule are secreted in renal tubule into the urine filtrate, right, by the distal tubule or tubular cells. So these are the three main key steps of the urine formation. Next one is classification of diuretics. Diuretics can be classified into 5 steps. Thiazide diuretic, carbonic anhydrase inhibitors, loop diuretics or high saline diuretics. Fourth one is potassium sparing diuretics, and fifth one is osmotic diuretics. See the now one by one class, these 5 main classes of the diuretics. Now thiazide diuretics again classified into 2 class, benzothiazide and thiazide-like. Thiazide-like drugs are similar into the action or pharmacological response to the benzothiazide. That's why they are known as the thiazide-like diuretics. Right? Benzothiazide examples of benzothiazines are chlorothiazide, hydrochlorothiazide and hydroflumethiazide. Thiazide-like diuretics are chlorthalidone and metolazone. Keep in mind that they are not similar in structure with thiazide, but they are similar in action with thiazide. Right? That's why they are known as thiazide-like diuretics. Second class is carbonic anhydrase inhibitors. Examples are acetazolamide and methazolamide. Third class is loop diuretics, or also known as high ceiling diuretics. They are again divided into 2 parts, sulfamoyl derivatives and phenoxyacetic acid derivative. These classes are based upon the chemical structure of loop diuretics. Sulfamoyl derivatives are furosemide and bumetanide, which contain the sulfamoyl group. Then phenoxyacetic acid derivatives are ethacrynic acid, etc. This ethacrynic acid contains phenoxyacetic acid structure. Then potassium sparing diuretics. It is again divided into 2 parts, steroidal inhibitor, that is aldosterone antagonist, and second one is pteridine derivative. Steroidal inhibitor that have the structure like steroids, or it contains the steroid nucleus. Examples are spironolactone and metidapone. Important is spironolactone. It is a prototype drug of aldosterone antagonist which contains the steroid structure. Then second one is pteridine derivative. Examples are trienterine and amiloride. Fifth class is osmotic diuretic. Examples are urea, mannitol, glycerol, sucrose, etc. Now let's see the structures of different diuretics. First one is benzothiazines. As the name indicates, this compound contains the benzothiazine ring. Now what is the benzothiazine ring? Let's start from the end of the word diazine. First of all, azine. Azine, that means 6-membered ring with nitrogen atoms are known as the azenes. Now diazines, that means 6-membered ring containing 2 nitrogen atoms. And thiazines, that means 6-membered ring has 2 nitrogen atoms and 1 sulfur atom. That ring is known as thiazine. And benzothiazine, that means this thiazine ring is fused with benzene ring. That is benzothiazine. See in structure of all benzothiazine, here benzene ring is fused with thiazine ring. 2 nitrogen 6-membered ring, 2 nitrogen atom and 1 sulfur atom. Right? So this whole structure is known as benzothiazine. And all drug chlorothiazide, hydrochlorothiazide and hydroflumethiazide all contain the benzothiazine ring. All are different in the substituents present on this benzothiazine ring. In chlorothiazine, also similar in structure structural similarity in all benzothiazide is that presence of SO2NH2 group, that is sulfonamide group or sulfonamide group, SO2NH2 group, and in sulfur, in benzothiazide ring sulfur has the oxide, 2 oxide or 2 oxygen atom, right? So in chlorothiazide, one chlorine substitution or chloro substitution present on the ring. Hydrochlorothiazide is similar in the chlorothiazide. One exception or difference is that here in chlorothiazide double bond nitrogen is present, and in hydrochlorothiazide hydrogenation of this nitrogen atom occur, right? Here double bond is broken down and hydrogen atom is added to this nitrogen as well as to this carbon atom, right? So that's why it is known as the hydrochlorothiazide. Hydroflumethiazide, that is the compound in which also here double bond is removed and hydrogenation of this carbon and nitrogen occur, as well as flumetha indicate presence of the fluoromethyl group. Here CF3 is present, that is the fluoromethyl group. That's why it is flumethiazide, right? So hydro indicate the presence of hydrogen atom on nitrogen instead of the double bond, and in place of chlorine in chlorothiazide and hydrochlorothiazide, here fluoromethyl group is present, trifluoromethyl group is present, right? CF3, trifluoromethyl group. Next one is thiazide-like diuretics, that is chlorthalidone and metolazone. Here these drugs not contain the thiazide or benzothiazine ring, but they are similar in action with the benzothiazines. Chlorthalidone ring has the one similarity with thiazide, that is presence of SO2NH2 group, that is the sulfonamide group, right? Chlorthalidone contains the pyrrolidine ring, right? And metolazone contains the pyrimidine ring, dihydropyrimidine ring. Then carbonic anhydrase inhibitors, acetazolamide and methazolamide, both have the same structure. Here see presence of the thiadiazole ring, thiadiazole, azole, that means 5-member ring with nitrogen atom, right? That is azole. Diazole, that means presence of 2 nitrogen atom into the ring, 5-member ring, and thiadiazole, that means presence of 1 sulfur and 2 nitrogen atom, right? So these carbonic anhydrase inhibitors contain the thiadiazole ring, which is substituted with the sulfonamide group, that is SO2NH2 group, and as well as sulfonamide as well as that is directly attached with the amide nitrogen, NHCO. Here also NHCO, right? Here ketoenol tautomerism occur because here on nitrogen methyl group is present, that is methazolamide. In acetazolamide there is only double bonded nitrogen is present in thiadiazole ring, and in methazolamide this double bond is broken down, right? And here methyl group is substituted, right? So these are the carbonic anhydrase inhibitors. Then sulfonyl derivatives of the loop diuretics, right? These are the examples of loop diuretics or high ceiling diuretics. It includes furosemide and bumetanide. Both have the sulfonyl moiety, that is attached with the benzene ring, right? As well as one carboxylic acid group present, COOH in both structure, right? Second similarity is SO2NH2 group present, right? and only difference is that in furosemide here Cl, that is chloro group is present in place of chloro. Here phenoxy substituent is present, right? And second one is here amine group is present, secondary amine. Here also amine, but both are different substituted amine, right? Here 1, 2, 3, 4 butyl amine is present, and here this amine nitrogen is attached with the methyl group, and that methyl group is again attached with the furan ring, right? So furosemide contains the furan heterocyclic ring, right? Keep in mind that it can be asked in MCQ exam, which heterocyclic ring is present in the furosemide, that is furan. That's why it is named as furosemide. And here in bumetanide, amine group is attached with the butyl group, that's why bumetanide. And here amine group is attached with the furan ring, that's why furosemide. Then phenoxyacetic acid derivative, it is also loop diuretics or high ceiling diuretics. Example is ethacrynic acid. It contains the here phenoxy acetic acid, here phenoxy ring which is attached, phenyl ring attached with the oxygen, and CH2COOH, that is acetic acid. So phenoxy acetic acid derivative, this phenyl ring attached with oxygen, that is phenoxy group, and this phenoxy group is attached with the acetic acid, CH2COOH, acetic acid. That's why it is phenoxy acetic acid. This phenoxy ring is again substituted with 2 chlorine atom and another ketone group. Then next one is steroidal inhibitors. They are also known as aldosterone antagonist, and it is the example of potassium sparing diuretics. Examples are spironolactone and metyrapone. Especially spironolactone has the steroidal structure which contains the steroidal nucleus, right, and inhibit the aldosterone because of structural similarity. Last one is pyridine derivatives. They are also potassium sparing diuretics. Examples are triamterene and amiloride. It contains the pyridine structure. In triamterene, it is the cyclic pyridine ring, right? In amiloride, this pyridine molecule is in open chain form, right? So both contain the pyridine molecule. Last one is osmotic diuretics. Examples are urea and mannitol. As we know the structure of urea, NH2, CO, NH2, carbonyl group attached to the 2 amino group, primary amino group, NH2, CO, NH2. And second one is mannitol. It is a one type of monosaccharide, or you can say sugar, right? It is 6 carbon chain having the different hydroxyl group on the on carbon, right? CH2OH, CHOH, CHOH, CHOH. Here also CHOH and CH2OH. That means 6 carbon containing 6 hydroxyl group on each carbon. That is mannitol. Thank you.